So 4 weeks ago, apparently, 4 weeks ago tomorrow, we went on a girls' trip to Disney, which was honestly the best trip I have ever been on in my life. We laughed the entire time. It was amazing. We walked 75 miles. We did obviously all the Disney parks. We just had an absolute blast, and then ended it at Halloween Horror Nights with an RIP tour with Jeff, of course. It was absolutely amazing, but we walked a total of 75 miles because Paige apparently clocked it for us, which is, as a tour guide, yeah, that's totally normal. We do that, right? 12 to 13 miles a day. But it's been a minute since I've had to do that, but it was so much fun. And thankfully, with the Pampa program that I did and all the other stuff, I felt amazing. And we had a 23-year-old and a 25-year-old with us. So they were all exhausted by the end of the night, and I'm like, no, let's keep going. Let's do it all the things, except for the day that Lizzie and I went back walking in the rain, and that was not fun. But it was also hilarious, and now we have stories to tell about it. By the time it ended, that last day, leaving HHN, getting back to the resort, and then having to pack, I had 3 hours of sleep that night. Arrived in Louisville, fell asleep, I think, for about half an hour on the plane. Arrived in Louisville, and David picked me up, and 1 hour later we were in the truck on our way to Pennsylvania to see my amazing Sherry and family that we have not seen in I've seen them in 3 years. David hadn't seen them in 5, and we have been promising forever to go up and see them. And so we're like, yes, we're going to do that. Let's go see them. We get up to Pennsylvania. It was incredible. We had a great time. We were there Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning on our way to see the Grand Canyon of Pennsylvania. I get a phone call from Eduardo that my dad was rushed to the hospital with what they thought were convulsions, and then began the ensuing of nobody knew exactly what was going on, which continued for about 2 days. And then I wound up flying to Fort Lauderdale. So I was like, yes, I need to go to Fort Lauderdale. So we drive back 9.5 hours from the mountains a day before we were supposed to leave, and arrive here 3 hours later. I'm on a plane now flying to Fort Lauderdale on very little sleep, and was there Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday getting TrustBridge set up for my dad, which is amazing, like in-home care with hospice capabilities. While I'm in Fort Lauderdale, David says, your mom's not doing great. This was on Tuesday. I'm going to take her to the doctor, go to the doctor with her. And I was like, great, when you do, make sure that you get her MyChart, because I have never been able to be on her MyChart or have anything to do with her doctors, because she's always like, nah, I don't, it's fine. I'm like, Mom, I'll go with you. No, I don't need it. I'm like, okay, fine. So, if you know my mom, she's a little independent. So Tuesday afternoon, as I'm trying to set up TrustBridge for my dad at the house, I'm now getting text from Southwest Airlines saying, your flight may be interrupted because there's a hurricane coming. And I was like, no, I gotta go. This was Helene. So I tried to change my flight, didn't happen. I was like, all right, Lord, I'm just trusting you. You've got this in your hands. So sure enough, I was able to fly out Wednesday morning, got everything squared away there. So in the interim of all this, I had hired a lady through Granny Nannies that would come a couple of times a week and hang out with Mom and take her to places and drive her around so she did not have to drive. And so she now starts sending me messages about some crazy stories that my mom was telling. So I was trying to convince my mom to call the doctor and let them know that her diuretic was off, because she had told me that about a month and a half prior, her doctor told her that she didn't have to take so much diuretic. And I was like, well, that's a terrible idea, because she basically gets dementia when she's not on diuretic because of the ammonia buildup, because this woman has fought colon cancer for 22 years. So long story short, it just kind of began to spiral down from there. About a week of trying to get her medications squared away and her kind of fighting me on it. And then I was like, okay, we let's reach out to the insurance company. Let's get a full-time nurse in here. Actually, it wasn't that long. It was just a couple days. I was like, I think it was like that Monday. I was like, let's get a full-time nurse in here. I was like, we're done with granny nannies. I think you just need a little bit more. And she was like, okay. And then I was able to get on her MyChart. And once I got onto MyChart, that's when I saw the chest scans, which she told me was an x-ray, but it was not. It was actually a chest scan that she had, quote unquote, innumerable nodules in her lungs. Okay. Oh, you're going to tell me about this? So anyway, long story short, it just digressed very rapidly. And the following Tuesday, after talking to her doctors in between, and they were like, no, just keep her on. It's just, the ammonia buildup, blah, blah, blah. Well, eventually I was like, this is not the ammonia buildup. What is this? And that was Tuesday morning. 2 weeks ago. And so her doctor was like, well, I was like, I need somebody to call me. So he finally calls me and he's like, I have to let you know, we think that one or more of her cancers are back. Now, mind you, all the way along the line, I kept going, Mom, let me take you to the hospital. Mom, let me take you to the hospital. And she's like, no. And then I realized what she was saying, because she kept saying, there's nothing they can do for me there. There's nothing they can do for me there that I can't do here. There's nothing they can do for me there, blah, blah, blah. But that was always what she said. Not, I don't want to go, just there's nothing they can do for me there. So like I said, gave her an ultimatum. I can either call hospice or 911, call the doctor, finally get a hold of the doctor, and the doctor tells me, we suspect her cancer's back. And so I was like, okay. And so his words, I was like, well, what should I do? And he said, if you think that there is something we can do for her at the hospital, then you can bring her. Okay. So now I'm tasked with telling Mom this is what they think is going on. So we go over, talk to her. She really didn't have much of a reaction, just had like one little tear kind of fell. But it was very obvious that she knew what was going on. So, yeah, so I was like, well, what do you want to do? Let's go do something. Let's whatever. And she's like, I just want to sleep. And I was like, okay, then I'm going to let you sleep, whatever you want to do. And she was up and talking Tuesday morning, just super, super weak. And by about 1 o'clock, I went over and made her pastina, because that's what she always made for me when I was sick. And I was like, you want some pastina? And she's like, no. I'm still full. And my amazing niece who had come up for the week and I were there, and we were like, and she goes, ugh, that steak and potatoes was amazing. And I was like, okay. Then in the same conversation, she's like patting the bed, like looking for something. I was like, what are you looking for? She's like, I think I knocked my deck of cards over. I was like, playing solitaire? She was like, yeah. And about couple minutes later, she's looking again for something. I said, what are you looking for now? And she's like, oh, that book I read. She's like, oh, it was so good. I haven't read a book in years. I was like, okay. I was like, well, I don't see one. And she fell back asleep. And then about 3 o'clock, I would say, she starts that mumbling. So she's kind of mumbling and like, and we're trying to figure out what she's saying. And I was like, what? And I heard her say something about, I thought I heard her say something like hiding place, something. It's like hiding place. And I was like, hiding place? And she's like, Corrie ten Boom. And we were like, whoa, what? So I was like, Corrie ten Boom. I was like, yeah, she wrote The Hiding Place. And she's like, the book. And I was like, wait a minute, do you see her? And she's like, yes. And those are the two clearest words she said. If you don't know who Corrie ten Boom is, you should. She's an incredible woman who was raised by an amazing Christian father, and their family hid Jews during the Nazi occupation of Holland, and eventually they were arrested and put in the concentration camps, and she was the only survivor of her family. She is also the woman who led my dad's mom, my grandmother, to the Lord. So Corrie ten Boom was pretty special in our family. So I was like, okay, that was pretty awesome, because I guess Corrie ten Boom's coming to take Mom to Jesus. So I was like, I told Mom, I was like, well, tell Grandma I said hi, because if you're seeing Corrie ten Boom, Grandma's not too far behind her, I'm sure. So that was really just special. Like, yeah, it was awesome. So, long story short, within 36 hours, she was with Jesus, and it was peaceful and easy. And we couldn't have asked for anything more. Justin was able to get away from, the next hurricane was coming in the middle of all this, and Justin's flights were canceled, and we had to try to regroup that, and they wound up driving up to Savannah and flying home that way, and all in the middle of this. So it's been a little crazy, but Justin was able to make it back in time to see her, my awesome brother, and like I said, my niece was already here, and nephew. So they were all able to be here. My cousins, who she loved probably as much as she loved me, although I'm pretty sure she loved Kristen just a little bit more because she's everybody's favorite, but inside just family joke. Or is it? Anyway, but they were all able to say goodbye and, see you later. And that was a humongous blessing. And then her friends all called in, and Cookie said to her all the things that I wanted to. So I was like, what are you doing? Why didn't you tell us? So bottom line is, Mom knew. She definitely knew what was going on. And apparently from all the medical reports I've found since 2023, she knew that her cancer was back, and she just went out on her own terms. It was like, no, I'm not doing anything about it, and I'm not going to tell anybody about it. Even our neighbors were able to come and say their goodbyes. And so she just went unbelievably peacefully. She had no pain whatsoever the entire time. I mean, it was amazing. And yeah, so it was a huge blessing. Now, let me tell you that you need to get yourself a circle of friends like I have, if you do not have them. My Melinda Allen, you needed a Melinda Allen in your life for many reasons. Mostly because if you're in a dark alley, choose who you want with you. But most importantly, because this woman is she literally saved me. I don't even know, when Mom needed changing, cleaning, when I was panicking because I'm like, hospice is not going to get here in time. She stayed with us. She was with us the entire day. She took us out to lunch the next day. But I literally can't say enough. And I normally I'm that person that jumps into action, is like, okay, don't worry, I got this, we'll take care of it. And I didn't have to do that because she was there, and I will forever be grateful for the fact that I could just be a daughter and not that. So I'm super grateful for that. And then when everybody was like, what can we do for you? There was nothing to do. They'd made me laugh. And I was like, you know what? That's what I need. Would you guys just come and be here? I don't need anything else. I just need you to be here and laugh with me or sit with me or whatever. And they all came. And so thank you, Miriam, Melinda, Janet, Lizzie, Paige, and Jessica. I owe you forever. They help with all the hard stuff, cleaning up some of the things that I couldn't handle, for whatever reason. It's weird. Weird things hit you. I can't go in the bathroom and see her toothbrush. I can't clean out this. I can't clean out that. I still can't do the refrigerator. I don't know why that's hitting me so hard, but the refrigerator's really killing me. And so David's like, I'll go take care of it today. Don't worry. But they just came and did all the things, and they just helped in that moment of grief where it was I didn't even know what I needed. I know I can't sit down. I was they were like, you need to sit, you need to relax. And I'm like, nope. There's many things I can do. That is not one, not right. I will, but this is not it. I just have to get things done. That's just the way that's the Leo in me. But I was able to do that with their help. They were just there. So like I said, I will just be forever grateful. And in all of this, I had ordered a sweatshirt about a month before that arrived the day my mom died, or I think maybe that Tuesday before Wednesday. And it just said bigger than the storm. And I was like, the irony of that is there's a Category 5 hurricane barreling towards Florida where, we got Justin out, but Josh was still there, and my dad was still there, and my brother, but mostly Josh and Jeff, and like all my other friends, Jamie, Joe, like everybody else that I've been worried about, and that's all going on at the same time as this. And that sweatshirt came, and I just cried, and I was like, thank you, Jesus, because it's not, the strength does not come from me. And more than anything, it was just the strength of the Lord that helped me to get through all of that. I'm also incredibly grateful for the Pampa program that, weirdly enough, that I found at the beginning of the year, because physically, I know I would not have been able to withstand the amount of stress and pressure I have had in the last 4 weeks if I had not already had my body focused, centered, and well. So that being said, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that's reached out. I can't message everybody individually. I'm so thankful for all of the cards that we've received, the blessing, the funeral issues. We're not having a funeral, but all the celebration will be in May in Guilford. If anybody's around, it'll be May 3rd. So if you want information, let me know. And mostly, there's just such a sense of urgency that I have felt to make sure that people know that, as my cousin Billy said, she was the embodiment of faith. And, I more than anything else, I know she would want everybody to be in heaven with her. And to do that, you have got to accept the Lord. It just is what it is. And so that is my... It's not about religion. It's not about church. It's about a relationship with Jesus Christ and our Father, who loves you more than you could possibly imagine, and without whom there is no salvation. And I want you there. Mom wants you there. And it doesn't take anything to just know that you can't make it on your own. You're not bigger than the storm. I don't know how people do it on their own. I don't know how people can do it in their own strength or think this is the end. Like how futile life would be if there's not something better and something more. And so that is the main takeaway, that it is through the strength of Christ that you can do anything. You can get through anything. Put your hope in the Lord, because he brings joy where normally there would not be. And so that is the message in all of this, with all the craziness, all the shenanigans, all the political stuff, all the storms that have been coming, all the tragedies that have been happening. And there are so many people who have lost loved ones recently. It's crazy. That's all I can say is there's so much more to life than this. There is so much more. And that is where true joy is found, where true peace is found. Put your faith in